He's watching the stream right now. Yeah, this is one I hear. Is it live right now?
It should be. Yeah.
Check, 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 check.
We're going to start in a few minutes. Just for the food, we got 15 minutes on the food, y'all. So you want to get food, it's about to be taken 15 minutes. So go ahead and knock it out. It wasn't cheap, but it's a free symposium, though. Food is free, y'all. So get that free food. Thank you. But we're gonna start in a few minutes. Waiting on the more folks to come in. Is the faith breakfast over, faith folks? Y'all here? Yeah, so we're waiting. We have a faith breakfast, so waiting for the faith folks to get over.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's the second one. We'll do the other first.
Do the other one first. Okay. So you can hover over this and then select like that. Is that the first update? I'm sorry. This is the first one. Sorry. So you can hover over it and then go left to right.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Is that the right one?
Yep. Oh, this was second. The other one was first.
Yes, sir.
The other one. That was first. Okay, cool.
Sorry, I got confused.
Oh, you
And then I think you should be able to put that. You good to go. Yeah, I see. It's a build up.
Okay. Oh, you're fine. Okay. So good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. Good morning. Y'all give me that good morning back. Call and response. Thank you. So I'm Jacoby Wilson. I am one of the MCs for this show today. Really excited to have y'all here at the 9th CGMD Environmental Justice and Health Disparities Symposium. Of course, this is day 3 of the symposium. The theme this year is people, power, and politics. And let me say it a little bit more energy because I'm trying to wake up. People, power, and politics. Okay. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed the first 2 days of the symposium, and live stream folks, we're starting now. I know y'all appreciate y'all being on the stream. Day 1 started out with a keynote from Reverend Barbara to get us started, talking about issues of intersection of race and poverty and how we need to look at inequality, right? And he said there's no divide between us, right? We need to bridge those divides, and we need to work together. We had a lot of great concurrent sessions on day 1 as well. A really interesting conversation with Mustafa Ali about reparations, if not when we're going to have those reparations, restorative justice. We had other sessions during the afternoon, many sessions on energy issues, indigenous issues, also issues around just communities that are impacted by environmental justice. We also had a really interesting closing session with the NAACP. And again, because of the theme, people, power, and politics, thought it was very appropriate to have them have a session, because NAACP has been really important part of our infrastructure to really address issues of racial justice, social justice, right, economic justice. We talk about the octopus of oppression, right? So we're going to work on these issues. We have to work together. And I think I got a little bit too excited for those of you who saw me at the end of that session. So I'm going to try to woo-saw today and not get too revved up, too amped up, right? And then on day 2, again, our second virtual day, we started out, again, with a really interesting, presentation from Robin Morris Collin, senior advisor on environmental justice to the EPA administrator. She told some really interesting stories, right? And she said we don't have a capacity issue, we have an access issue. I know we have both, but I do appreciate the sentiment that we need a lot of groups that have the tools, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, right? They need more access to the dollars. They need more access to the BIL money. They need more access to Inflation Reduction Act money. They need more access to the dollars that make change happen, because you have systems in place that are stopping folks from accessing those dollars. And then we had other, again, really interesting plenary concurrent sessions. We had discussions. The closing session on day 2 was, and I like saying this, there's EJ Goldberg in them hills. How many of y'all participated in that session? Y'all were attending EJ Goldberg in them hills. Hopefully y'all got the point of all these, we got all this money, y'all, right? And it should be for frontline, fence line communities who are authentically fighting for environmental, energy, climate, justice, right? Water justice, right? But we have a lot of people who are speculating, who are coming into this space, who don't come from the community and who may extract from the community. So it could be a form of racial extractive capitalism. It could be a form of, more colonizing, right? It could be a form of pain pimping. If we're going to do this right, we have to make sure the money gets to the people with the most need. If you're at the front line, if you're a frontline community, you should be at the front of the line and getting the dollars. I'm going to say it again. If you are frontline, you should be at the front of the line and getting the dollars. That's what that session's about. We may be in a boom that could be a bust, but if you weren't there before the money, why are you here now for when there is money? Are you going to be here when we don't have money? That means you're not authentically engaged in the movement. We make sure people who are on the ground are authentically engaged. You're going to be an ally, be there when there's no money. If you're going to be an ally, be there with no resources. And I skipped Justin Pearson. Representative Pearson said, you got to be all in. Y'all heard what he said. If you're going to be in this space, you got to be all in. If you ain't all in, we don't need you. I hate to say it that way. This can't be performative. EJ don't stop at 5 o'clock, y'all. EJ don't stop on Saturday, on the weekends. Folks are suffering, being in sacrifice zones, dealing with toxic trauma. We need to be there all the time as allies, support them. Justin Pearson said, you got to be all in. You saw his fight on gun violence in Tennessee and what he's done as one of the Tennessee Three. We have to model that. We have to replicate that. We have to scale that. So, again, I'm getting a little excited. Let me woo-saw. Now, today's agenda is our in-person agenda. And we had a fake breakfast. It may be still ongoing. Hopefully, folks are able to come over from that session. We're going to have a lot of sessions over the next 3 days that are more about what's happening in our region, the Mid-Atlantic region. Today's sessions, we're going to have a lot of sessions with government officials, giving updates on what they're doing within the region, legislative sessions. We're going to have a lot of sessions about community engagement and what folks are doing as it relates to air pollution. We'll have sessions around food sovereignty. And we're going to have sessions really about climate justice as well. So really excited about today's agenda. Our closing session is going to be on the TCTACs, in which I'll talk about the TCTACs more in the next couple of slides. And then we'll have a closing reception and documentary viewing on the called The Smell of Money. The Smell of Money is a documentary that focuses on industrial hog farming in North Carolina. Some of you are very familiar with industrial chicken farming in the Eastern Shore, in Delaware, on the Delmarva Peninsula. Similar issues. That's going to be our closing reception, closing documentary viewing. But I really want us to think today about what it means when it comes to people, power, and politics. Before I move on to our opening session, our opening plenary session, I just want to make sure, give shout outs to our sponsors. So we got MetaMoney, Bezos. I know how y'all feel about Bezos and that Amazon stuff. We got to, work that out. We have partnership with the National Wildlife Federation. Wildlife Federation is the parent on the TCTAC, and I'll talk about that. The Environmental Defense Fund, the Yellow Chip Foundation, which is now the Skyline Foundation. One of our core partners in the region is NAMATE. Of course, US EPA, other parts, Union Concerned Scientists. Then we have School of Public Health, others. And I want to make sure that we have faith partners who help organize sessions, including the Faith Breakfast, Interfaith Power and Light. And I also want to acknowledge our community partners. I want to acknowledge the team who helped organize this symposium. Our symposium is members of SIEGE, Center for Communication, Environment, and Health, so the staff. So Shanice, Pamela, Ariel, also Paul, and Holly, Bacola, Eli. We have some of our new staff that come on board, Dr. White, Marlena, Melissa, and all the volunteers, all the volunteer moderators, volunteer students. So thank you for your support. And now what I want to do is switch out and talk about, move to our first session. So just to give you a little bit of background, this session is on kind of a soft launch for our Region 3, for the Region 3 TCTAC. And that TCTAC stands for Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Center. And so I'm the co-director of the Region 3 TCTAC with Dr. Adrian Hollis. And so, yeah, it's good. Give folks a hand. So these TCTACs are part of the infrastructure that, the federal government is trying to put in place to provide support to communities who are impacted by environmental, climate, and energy injustices. And so, a little bit of background. On April 13, 2023, the EPA announced the TCTACs. They selected 16 of these technical assistance centers and gave out about $177 million, or we'll be getting $177 million to these technical assistance centers. So we have 13 regional TCTACs. You know that the EPA has 10 regions. So there's 13 regional TCTACs. Part of the reason we have 13, the Gulf Coast has Region 6 has a TCTAC that covers both Region 6 and parts of Region 4. That's Dr. Beverly Wright's TCTAC, Deep South Center. And so there's additional TCTAC in Region 6. And also Chicago Blacks and Green, that's a Chicago area-wide TCTAC. And then in Region 5, there's more of a region-wide TCTAC that's out of the University of Minnesota. And so our TCTAC covers the states of Maryland, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Jerome, I almost forgot Pennsylvania. Sorry about that. And most of the TCTACs received $10 million. We received $12 million. Part of the reason why we received $12 million because they wanted to have an expansion of expand our ability and our capacity to engage communities in rural areas in Region 3. We have a lot of rural areas in Appalachia, and that's part of the driver behind why we got additional dollars to make sure we have appropriate coverage of those hard-to-reach, resource-constrained, low-capacity rural groups that are working in rural communities that are impacted by environmental and energy and climate justice issues. So the purpose of these TCTACs really to help with training and technical assistance. So a lot of what we're going to be doing is providing training, technical assistance to help people write grant proposals, so they can apply for federal funding. Again, monies that are coming out of the Inflation Reduction Act, monies that are part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, monies that may be part of other federal funding streams through various federal agencies. So this funding is a collaborative funding opportunity between the EPA and Department of Energy. But we'll be helping to train members of organizations to apply for funding from various federal sources and also non-federal sources. Also, the TCTAC can help with community engagement, facilitation, and outreach to some of the hard-to-reach, resource-constrained communities. Also, communities that may be linguistically isolated. It also builds off some of the technical assistance work that's happening through the Department of Transportation. In addition, the TCTAC is this TCTAC initiative, providing technical assistance and supports capacity building, is part of the federal government's larger Justice 40 initiative. So, Justice 40 is related to Executive Order 14008. That's sort of that one of the executive orders on climate change. And so, as we move from a dirty energy, fossil fuel economy to a clean energy economy, 40% of the benefits of federal investments should go to disadvantaged communities. So these TCTACs or technical assistance centers are going to be part of the hubs in each region to provide support to communities who are experiencing these issues, who need support again, particularly in the grant writing space, to be able to develop proposals in response to RFPs that are out there. So in our TCTAC, we have multiple partners. What I want to do now, I want the partners on the TCTAC to stand up. So the parent partner is the National Wildlife Federation. I believe Dr. Adrian Hollis should be in room. Please stand up. So Dr. Hollis is the co-director of TCTAC. Of course, we have my team, Siege, at the University of Maryland. We also have the Environmental Finance Center. Is anybody from the Environmental Finance Center? You want to stand up, Adissa? So I originally had to plan everybody to let y'all know to have everybody up on the stage. We only have 3 chairs. So I had to adjust that on the fly. You see how I do this? Adjust it. Because we don't have enough chairs. So we had to have a different approach. But so we have that. And then our community partners. We have Central Del Pollo Familiar. They're one of community hub partners. We also have folks from South Baltimore Community Land Trust. As I go, if y'all here, can y'all stand up? South Baltimore Community Land Trust. We also have, hey. We have another hub partner for this project. We have Sentinels of Eastern Shore Health, SESH. And we have Sussex Environmental Health Network. So SESH and SHIN is a mom and son team up. Maria Payne and Mike Payne, again, dealing with a lot of the issues associated with industrial chicken farming. And again, as I said earlier, in the Eastern Shore of Maryland, also in Southern Delaware. In addition, am I forgetting any partners? Hold on. So we have Jerome Shabazz. Again, there I go, Jerome, forgetting Pennsylvania. And Philadelphia with the Overbrook Center. Sorry about that, Jerome. And then we have our DC hub is Empower DC. Anybody representing Empower DC? Can you stand up, please? Woo! Empower DC. So Parisa Naruzzi is the lead for that organization. And so we also have 2, so we have community partners, and we also have 2 HBCU partners. And we have Morgan State. The lead is Dr. Mark Barnes. Dr. Barnes, can you stand up? And we have West Virginia State. Is Adam here? Hey, Adam, West Virginia State. So Morgan State is going to be our lead HBCU hub, so helping to organize HBCUs in the Mid-Atlantic region. So you think about HBCUs in Pennsylvania, where we have Jerome Cheney and Lincoln, Delaware State, HBCUs in the state of Maryland. So Morgan State, Bowie State, Coppin State, Eastern Shore. Am I forgetting anybody? I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. Then we have DC area HBCUs, and also maybe primary Black institutions too, Dr. Barnes. So Howard, UDC, and also Trinity. I want to get Trinity in because that's a primarily Black women's college in DC. And then we also have all the Virginia schools. Not and we also have West Virginia schools as well. But in Virginia, we have Virginia State, Virginia Union, Hampton. Maybe forgetting a couple others that are in Virginia. And of course, we have Adam, was it 4 HBCUs in West Virginia? Just 2? There's 2 HBCUs in West Virginia? Okay, so the 2 HBCUs in West Virginia. So, and then West Virginia State will be it's going to be a hybrid hub. It'll be the main HBCU partner in West Virginia, but also doing more of that community outreach engagement because of their extension service component. So what we have is, so we have a spoken hub approach. So all the community partners are hubs, right? So what we're doing is those hubs will get training and capacity building support, funding to build up their infrastructure, okay? And then they will go out into that geographic area coverage to help with technical assistance and capacity building with organizations that we intake, right? And then we recruit and who needs support. Now, the core partners, institutional partners, National Wildlife Federation, Siege and Environmental Finance Center will also be providing a lot of that core technical assistance and capacity building support. So, for example, the National Wildlife Federation is the parent on it. So a lot of the kind of fiscal infrastructure and management is going to come from the National Wildlife Federation. The project management will come from the National Wildlife Federation. When it comes to Siege's work, we'll be providing a lot of support. As relates to some of the environmental assessment And as it relates to what the Environmental Finance Center will be doing, they'll be providing a lot of support on the grant writing side. So I just wanted to share that. So what our objectives, here's some of our objectives. Here's objective 1, again, to the outreach and engagement. So Siege will be leading a lot of that work. When it comes to objective 2, we have deliver technical assistance. So part of that is community science training. You know, Siege, we do a lot of air quality monitoring. So if there's community groups that want to assist us with that, we can help with that. Also, we'll be helping out with a lot of GIS mapping, so that's geographic information systems. So we develop a number of tools just to give us some audience participation. How many of you have heard of US EPA EJ screen? Oh yeah, y'all are good. Okay, cool. How many of you have heard of this CQ CGIST tool? Raise your hand. Not as many. So that's the CGIST is the Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool. And in the state of Maryland, we've also built tools. Maryland EJ Screen, we built a tool called a Park Equity Mapping Tool. That's the Department of Natural Resources tool. We help to update that tool. We also have a Climate Equity Health Mapping tool that we help to build. And an exciting development, we have a GIS team, again, Holly, Bacola, and Eli. We built a Mid-Atlantic EJ screening tool. So for all the Mid-Atlantic states, we have a tool now that everybody can use. So you can look within your own state and hopefully be able to compare to what's happening. So within your state, at the tract level and the block group level, right, Holly or Bacola? Y'all in here? Okay. The units of analysis, tract level and block group level, and also compare what's happening in other Mid-Atlantic states, okay? And in objective 3, again, this is to go back to that, we have Environmental Finance Centers that's leading that part of the work on the grant writing side. We also have secondary partners, collaborative partners who I want to just shout out real quick. EPN, the Environmental Professionals Network, those are retired EPA folks. They'll be assisting with our project, and they're already doing a lot of their own grant writing, building their own grant writing infrastructure, so we'll be able to leverage that. Also, Dr. Margot Brown, Environmental Defense Fund, FREE. What does FREE stand for again, y'all? Thank you. Frontline Resources Institute. We have a session Saturday, right? And so the Frontline Resources Institute, they're doing a lot of grant writing support as well. They also have Writing for Green. So we'll be engaging EPN, the Frontline Resources Institute, and Writing for Green to help us with the grant writing support. Let me say this, y'all, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, and I always say I'm a talker. I'm talking way too much. I say it every time. That's one of my things I do. We had a TCTAC meeting at the White House yesterday, and they gave presentations on all the federal funding that's coming out. I was overwhelmed, y'all. If I'm overwhelmed, how are communities feeling who don't have enough staff, right? Who have volunteers, who don't have good Wi-Fi access, who can't just pull together a grant proposal. So that's one of the comments I made. Like, there's a lot of money out there, right? But the infrastructure capacity, people don't have grant writers on their teams. And even what we're trying to do is going to be great, but I think it's not going to be enough. So we need more partners, right? We need as many partners as possible to be actively and working with us as it relates to how we provide grant writing support to EPA, to support EPA submissions, EPA proposal submissions, also DOE and other federal agencies, also our non-federal submissions, of course, to philanthropic sources, right, to foundations. And so that's a big objective. That's, to me, this in many ways is probably the heart of the TIC. This is one of the primary objectives of these TCTACs is to help with grant writing support, capacity building for grant writing. And objective 4 is really about helping the communities concerned that go through our intake process to better engage with local government, state government, business, and industry. Think about it, y'all, through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Inflation Reduction Act, a lot of that money is going to be going to businesses, going to be putting in the infrastructure. So making sure those infrastructure needs, their response to the needs of the community, they're engaging with these communities that are looking for new energy, clean energy infrastructure. So our National Wildlife Federation team will be taking a lead on that. They have an energy justice team, so they'll be taking a lead on that. But we also have other partners that we could potentially engage in our region, like the Energy Foundation that's doing a lot of work in the space. We also have other groups. Some companies we like to engage, they will provide less support. We would like to engage as well in that part of the work. And then some new projects around energy resilience. Even the Green Line Institute, I think, has some work that may be something we can leverage. And of course, the MCEC is doing a lot of work in this space as well. And we had a recent meeting with them, and we want to engage other groups like MCEC, Maryland. Thank you. Maryland Clean Energy Center, engage other clean energy centers that may be in our other sister states in DC, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So those are our 4 objectives of the TCTAC. And again, this is sort of our soft launch, and we're using the symposium as a soft launch for the TCTAC. So we'll have other sessions during the symposium related to the TCTAC, including a session at 11:10. Which will be a meet and greet between the TCTAC and MATCH. Just real quickly, MATCH is the Mid-Atlantic Climate Action Hub that is funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. So it in itself is a mini TCTAC. It also has a pass-through component. So we have some of the same hub partners are hubs that are for the TCTAC, also hubs for MATCH. The difference is we have 2 additional groups that are hubs for MATCH. Softward, Environmental Alliance, would I say that right, Kim? SWIA, Newark, New Jersey, and also UPAL, Queen Shabass's group down in Virginia. So those are 2 additional groups that are hubs as part of MATCH. When you look at our current activities, again, we'll have a series of workshops. We'll have workshops at this symposium. We'll have 3 grant writing workshops, grant writing series. So if you're going to attend those, please attend all 3. That's been co-led by the EFC, Medissa, who's here, and also with Paul from my team. We'll also have workshops on GIS mapping. Again, Maryland EJ Screen, our climate equity mapping tool. Then we also have on US EPA EJ Screen, and maybe some other tools as well. And we'll have some workshops on air quality sensors. And then we'll have a lot of sessions from our TCTAC hub partners related to their work on environmental justice. So we'll have SWIL have their session on what's happening in New Jersey. So our Baltimore Community Land Trust is going to have a session, what's happening in Baltimore. We're going to have Jerome is going to be on multiple sessions today, including our lunchtime plenary session. We talk about 30 years of NEJAC, and I'll get into that later during that lunchtime. We'll also have participation. I think Maria and Mike, you've already had a session earlier. Your session hasn't happened yet. It happens on Friday. So I talk about the issues in the Eastern Shore, Southern Delaware around biogas and industrial chicken farms. Central Illinois Familiar is going to have a session around EJ issues that impact the Latinx population. So all of our partners are very engaged. We'll have sessions related to that work during this symposium. We have some other bullets here. I don't want to spend too much time on those, but you can see the Federation is going through a lot of work we're doing a lot of ramping up, y'all. To do this right, we have to ramp up our teams. So we're hiring new staff. We're going through our work plan process to make sure each partner has their work plan. We're trying to make sure we have all the budgets in place. We also are building out an intake process. We have a new website. I'll show when I move forward in the slides. You'll see the website, the working website that National Wildlife Federation is hosting for the TCTAC. We also have a number if you want to do intake. Now, if you want to call in and say you need support, you need services, Dr. Hollis, should I announce the number now or should we wait? So what's the number, Dr. Hollis? So the number is 202-792-5350. And we also have a 1-800 number, 1-800-757-1405. Now, I know I should have had this on the slides, but we have those 2 numbers. So what we're trying to do as part of the intake process, we want folks to call those numbers, right? And if you need support or you can be a partner, okay? One of the things in our proposal that we talk about is the EPA's collaborative problem-solving model. Many of y'all may not know what that is. I don't want to get too wonky on y'all, but the whole idea is How can we build partnerships, and how can we leverage resources? If you are already doing work in this space in our region, you can partner with us. If you're already working on energy justice, we want you to work with us. If you're already doing grant writing, we want you to work with us, right? If you are already doing outreach in rural communities, we want you to work with us, all right? So that's part of the leveraging. That's part of the leveraging we're trying to do. So we want to make sure that we have a matrix of those partners who are already doing work that can support this TCTAC. So the idea is, as we move forward out of this ramp-up phase into phase 2, more of the rollout phase, we will potentially have work groups for each objective, where we have core partners, hub partners, and secondary partners who would be a work group for objective 1, a work group for objective 2, a work group for objective 3, and a work group for objective 4. So that's one of the ways that, as we roll this out, we'll work together to make sure that we are, have a plan, we implement the plan, and we start providing services to those community groups of need throughout the region. And also, that one I want to make sure Dr. Barnes said, what about HBCUs? And Adam was saying, what about HBCUs? We'll also have that as well in this process, because we want to make sure we're engaging HBCU faculty, HBCU students in the communities that HBCUs are hosted in this process as well. So here's some information about projected outcomes for this TCTAC. I'm gonna, y'all can read that. And then next steps. So I said earlier, our TCTAC, unlike many other TCTACs, we didn't just receive 10 million, we received 12 million. We received the extra $2 million so we can expand our hubs. So one of the hubs that we've already selected was Empower DC. They weren't one of our original hubs. So Empower DC is one of our new hubs. We're looking to bring in 3 additional hubs. So a Virginia hub, and I put a question mark, a Appalachian-focused hub, which of course covers multiple states, right? So that could be also part of Virginia, part of Maryland, also part of Pennsylvania, right? And then West Virginia. And then potentially a Pittsburgh hub. And if I was at home doing this from Zoom, which I will be tomorrow, y'all will see my Steelers. Because no, I'm just joking. I am a Steelers fan, but it's not because I'm a Steelers fan. Wink, wink. But trying to have a Pittsburgh hub because we want Pennsylvania is a large state. So we have Jerome's group as the Philadelphia hub. We want to have another hub on the other side of the state. So we want to make sure we're covering that part of the Mid-Atlantic region better. And so those hubs are going to be more, probably 2 of those hubs will be more focused on that part of Mid-Atlantic. And then we need to have a Virginia hub too. So we're in the process of reviewing and vetting organizations that could be those 3 hubs. Develop a communications strategy, developing more of our workshop infrastructure. And again, we're doing some mini workshops at this symposium. Also, as I already mentioned, the website, we have a basic website now. It'll be upgraded as we go along. And then again, this includes the development and implementation of inclusive technical assistance strategy. So our more official TCTAC launch will be September 26th, and it will be at the Trinity Baptist Church in Ivy City in Washington, D.C. So those of you who are from the region, y'all know Ivy City Criminal School, the fight to preserve the criminal school and make that a cultural community asset, and the fact that community is dealing with an onslaught of a local pollution source. What's that facility called? The chemical plant? Those of you DC, is it TE? Forget the name of the facility. But they have a facility that's been polluting for over 100 years that doesn't have an air quality permit, right in the community. And of course, there's a lot of vehicle traffic, so a lot of combustion byproducts from the vehicle traffic. So we'll be there next in a couple of weeks as part of the official launch. And then if you want to go to the website for the TCTAC, here's the website link. So that's enough of me talking. I want to spend some time taking questions. And the mask is falling. So are there any questions from the audience? We have about 12 minutes before we transition. I want y'all to start transitioning to the first block of sessions. But any questions from the audience about the TCTAC? So who's saying what up first? Did your hand go first? Okay. Do we have any mics? Where's the oh, so here's a mic right here. You can come right here, or Yeah, you can come right here. And you also, if you want to go, what's your name?
Testing.
And what organization you with? Go ahead.
Chad Martin, NC Black Alliance. Let me first start off by saying thank you for the amazing work you and all the team did for
Yes,
putting this
sir.
whole week together.
Thanks, sir.
I say that to say my frustration is not for you.
Oh, I got you. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to preface it.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead. You're good.
But it sounded like you had the ear of the White House. And so my frustration with the TCTAC Center is, so number one, you said your area gets 12 million.
Mhm.
I'm from North Carolina, we're region 4.
Oh, yeah, I know about your region. Y'all, they didn't even engage with community groups. And should I say that? It's been streamed. They didn't engage with community groups in actually developing that grant proposal. So I know about it.
Well, they pulled back right now. But my issue is, so we just talked to a group in Greensboro.
Mhm.
The park, one park in Greensboro was built, the park was built on the landfill.
Yes, sir.
They're talking about it's 39 million to cover that. That's one park in North Carolina. Come to find out, there's 300 parks in North Carolina that were built on landfills.
Yep.
So that's one of my frustrations. If you guys are only getting 12 million, I'm assuming North Carolina's probably getting about the same.
They're getting 10 million for this TCTAC.
So how is that going to cover that?
Yeah.
Number two, I'm trying to get all the information out to as many local governments, nonprofits. By the time I got the information out to them about the accelerator program, the application is already closed.
Yeah.
Until next year. My next issue is capacity. So I used to serve on city council in Virginia. When I told my area about the IRA grant, the Solar for All, by the time it's time to get the application in, they don't have time to pull staff together. And these are the very areas when you talk about cumulative impact.
Yes, sir.
Mapping tool, when you talk about all those EJ screen. I was with DEQ, so I used to teach the EJ screen in Virginia. I know Queen Shabazz. All those screening tools, all these areas that fit in line with these mapping tools. Somehow I got excited about the TCTAC Center, but then when I started pulling back and thinking like, number one, you're not giving areas enough time to get the information in.
Yeah.
I got happy about the money, but really, that money is not enough to
It's a drop in the bucket. Yes.
So
let me respond.
Yeah. So please, if you can, tell the White House. Yeah.
So for you in North Carolina, you should be working with North Carolina EJ Network. I was raised up in the EJ movement with them, right? So working with them locally near you, Omega Wilson with Mebane, West End Revitalization. That's my mentor. That's what my other PhD with Omega. Okay. Actually, I have more papers published with Omega than I do with my actual PhD, which is on industrial hog farms, because I did my work with Dr. Wing on hog farms. So North Carolina's where I grew up in the EJ movement.
Right.
So those NC EJ Network and Omega is a place to start. Now your TCTAC should be communicating with them about how they're going to be engaging with y'all to access resources to address the brownfields issue. So Jerome Shabazz in Philadelphia does a lot of work on brownfields revitalization. We are going to be hopefully working with our brownfields technical assistance group that's at West Virginia, right, Adam, at West Virginia. So you have that. So you have the brownfields program should be engaged.
Brownsville through DEQ.
Yeah, through DEQ. So, but we got to figure out who's the Region 4 Technical Assistance Center for brownfields in Region 4 to engage with them, and also who is your Superfund Center? That's another group to be engaging with, Superfund centers, and then working with DEQ and also OLM. The acronym is OLM, y'all. Office of Land. What's Environment Management? I'm not messing up, y'all, but EPA OLM, OLEM. So working with OLM and also working with DEQ on those issues, and working through your Brownfields Technical Assistance Center for Region 4 to help bring folks together, and working with your MACO-like group in the state of North Carolina, your county organizations and your mayor organizations, to say who's engaging to get the dollars as relates to addressing the landfill cleanup and any revitalization issues with landfills. Now, so that's the first part. You talked about the capacity issue. One of the things that we're trying to do with our Environmental Finance Center, and then I made a comment about the TCTACs, all the grants that are coming out. We have to make sure, we talked about having a grant inventory and a grant calendar, and just making sure we have that information, because as I said, I was overwhelmed by all the things that they listed yesterday.
Right.
So if I'm overwhelmed, community groups who may not have as much staff as I have, they're going to be overwhelmed, doubly, triply, maybe 1,000%, right? So that's something we have to do. And what's your other question?
So money, capacity to even write the grants, and then, extending the grant timeline, because when people are just now getting this information, just finding out, by the time they find out,
I think one thing to do is to engage with NEJAC, the National Environmental Justice Advisory Council. To the next time we have public comments, to make public comments to WEJAC, the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, about these issues, and then also send comments directly to the managers of those programs. I've expressed some concerns about the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund,
right.
the letter of intent process for the Solar for All program. That was so quick, and I think that's actually, when I made the point about access earlier, right? That's not creating access. That's leading to differential access. Unless you ever have the machinery in place, it's going to be biased to certain organizations.
Right.
So let me stop there, because I know we got probably other questions. But thank you for that. Yes, sir. I'm going to give a dissertation. That said, y'all talk a lot every question. But thanks for those questions.
Okay. Hi, my name is Louise Leaf. I'm with the Science and the Media Project. On Tuesday, there was a panel. It was panel 3B on environmental justice barriers. Two of the panelists said they are being required to partner with industry in order to apply for funds. And in many cases, industry is the problem in their neighborhoods and is polluting. So could you elaborate on how it is that these community groups are being required to partner with an industry partner in order to apply for funds, and where that is applicable, how that works?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure which particular grant programs that's the case. It may be a requirement that they have to have a business partner. For example, the collaborative problem solving model grant, right? For example, used to require that you had a business partner. But I think if you have, if you can go back to the mic, are they required to partner with a specific pollutant industry, but other industries in the community who may be more on the clean energy, more on the solution side?
Well, the two panelists who mentioned this, one was Sharon Levine at Rise St. James, and the other was Maria Lopez Nunez of the Ironbound community. And both of them mentioned this as a major barrier and a major problem to applying for EJ funds.
Yeah, it's really, thank you for that clarification. So it's really interesting. So y'all know Rise St. James dealing with, the petrochemical industry, and then Maria's group dealing with an ironbound community in Newark, dealing with it was an incinerator issue, a lot of traffic issues, a lot of major polluters, right? Industrial polluters in the area. So I think that creates a barrier because there's a trust issue there, and these industries have a track record of being poisoning people. Why would you want to partner with people, the organizations that have been poisoning your community? So I think going back to the question before, right? That's a barrier. And there needs to be more, I think, thinking that goes into these RFPs, to exclude those type of organizations that have been part of the problem from being able to access these dollars. So we should be all writing letters to our representatives in the implementation of the IRA, the BIL, and Justice 40. How are you going to, as part of the Justice 40 implementation, that makes no sense. Just to be clear, that you're requiring community groups to partner with polluters. You're requiring community groups to partner with the people who poison them. That's not getting to justice. So I would advocate for everybody in this room to pressure local, representatives, state representatives, and U.S. House or Senate representatives, officials about that issue, because that creates, I think, as was stated before, another barrier. So that's my response to that question. But thanks for the question. Any other questions before we transition? Agent, let's go first, and then I'll come to you.
Well, mine is more, since we're all in the room, one of the things we learned yesterday was about the fact that the agencies want these funding opportunities to sort of be connected, like stepwise and whatever. And I know that, we were all working on our grant proposals. I think we were doing grant makers. And Dr. Wilson and others took time out to write a grant for the forestry program. And I don't even know if you know this, but that was just funded for $20 million. And so maybe to congratulate him and the team
What?
with Chesapeake Bay Trust.
That got funded?
Yeah, I got it right here. I got
For how much?
$20 million.
Well, look at that.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's like Christmas early. Okay, but it's for the community. It's not for me. I'm just a facilitator. I'm a convener and networker. My dad's like, "You getting that money?" I'm like, nah, Dad, I don't get none of that money, man. You know our family. I don't get a pay raise. I'm not on commission. There's no commissions there. No, just to thank you for that. Just to add to that, and I'm coming to you. I'm gonna bring down my giddiness. What we're trying to do, and I just extend thank you for that, making that announcement, Adrian, Dr. Hollis, just to extend that point. What we're trying to do with the TCTAC, again, it's the heart of our capacity building and technical assistance support, right? But we also have applied for multiple grants to build a Mid-Atlantic Environmental Justice Fund. I didn't say that. So we submitted a grant to the $50 million grant to the EPA. We will know about that in November. We found out yesterday in November. We submitted a $50 million grant for urban forestry program to USDA, and we just, as an agent announced, we got $20 million. We also are working on applying to the Coastal Community Challenge for NOAA, 50 to 75 million. We submitted a letter of intent a few weeks ago, and if we hear about that, we'll be able to apply, and we won't know about that until we will apply in February of 2024, and we know later in 2024. And so our plan is to apply for those big chunks of money to build this fund. And as part of that approach to having this Mid-Atlantic EJ fund, we also are trying to establish a foundation advisory council. So foundations have a lot more experience in managing this amount of these large amounts of money, but also to help within our region for foundations to provide match. So doing some matching. So for example, if we have foundation partners who want to add money to the pool for their particular state or their area of coverage. Just want to add to that. So this one last question, and then I'm going to close this out and so we can transition to the first block of sessions. Thank you for that again, Dr. Hollis.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Name and organization.
Yes, so my name is Anthony David. I am a environmental justice board member for the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania, and I'm a recent William M. LaPinta intern for NOAA. So my question is kind of, looking at how do we uplift our young people and making sure that our young people have access to the money. I hear that you're trying to, incorporate more HBCUs within, the hub model and trying to incorporate more institutions, but, some of our colleges aren't necessarily passing that money down to interested students, especially when dealing with environmental justice issues. Some universities aren't really looking at environmental justice issues or even know what environmental justice is. So how do we make sure and ensure that we're uplifting our young people where they don't have to directly go through our universities? Because there's young people who are out there, me included, who are doing the research, who are actively engaged with community members, but who aren't necessarily funded. So, we have young people who are actually, working with even younger people. We have young people who are, doing things outside of their pockets or doing things outside of their, clubs or whatever you have it, but they aren't necessarily fully supported by their universities or even by other organizations. So the same issues that our bigger organizations are going through as far as grant writing and stuff like that, us as young people, we don't have access to a lot of that. So how do we support our young people in this work?
Yeah, I'll try to be. Thank you for that question. We will have some young folks here who are from SWIA. We have young member of the SWIA team, Asana, here. We also have young people here from Central de Apoyo Familia, right? Who'll be presenting. We also have young folks here from South Baltimore Community Land Trust. So South Baltimore Community Land Trust and CEF are actually having a session on Saturday. It's a youth panel. The lunchtime is a youth panel. And they're going to talk about the work they've been doing in high schools, in both Ben Franklin High School and some of what the young people in Prince George's County. Additionally, So let me just stop saying and get focused with respond to your question. I think there's opportunities to engage with some of the infrastructure that we already have. So in the NAACP session, they talked about the youth councils, right? So you can join NAACP Youth Council. I think we have an internship program that we do every summer, our EJ Summer Scholars Program. That's an opportunity. We also have a Climate Justice Fellows Program that's for 18 plus. Those folks work with communities and do a capstone project. This is our first time doing it. That's an opportunity. There are a number of EJ-related internship and fellowship programs that are out there. I know Dr. Barnes just received a new grant from National Science Foundation. It's a Geo Ventures. I'm not getting it right, Dr. Barnes, but basically Geo Ventures, and that's an opportunity for folks at HBCUs to get engaged more in environmental issues. So I think at the undergraduate level, there are institutions that have programs for youth that are not in an undergraduate program or who are maybe unaffiliated with a club. I think one of the best things to do is connect to your local EJ group. So we have a lot of community-based organizations in this room. You said you're from Pennsylvania, and you think about the TCTAC and the work that we can do. I mean, for example, maybe Jerome can connect you to community-based his organization or other CBOs in the Philadelphia area and other CBOs in the state of Pennsylvania. So I would say that would be the first place to look, is connect to your local CBOs who are working on environmental, climate, and energy justice issues. Okay, thanks for that. And then you can chat with me later. So we're looking to hire young people too. So let's talk later. So thank you, everybody. I want to go back to the other slides real quick and then get us transferred to the next set of sessions. Hold on a second. Get out of this. Got to toggle. Okay, maybe I can. Oh, okay. So what I want to do real quickly is cancel this. So if you want to get the agenda, if you don't have a printed copy of the agenda, you can use this QR code. I didn't say that earlier. So I just want to give folks time to use this QR code, and you can download a online version, downloadable version of the agenda. So I'll leave it there. So really excited for the day, everybody. I'm glad to see y'all here. Again, our theme this year is people, power, and politics. After you download that QR code, please go ahead and start transitioning out to your first block of sessions. There'll be hall monitors, traffic control folks to help you get to those sessions. Most of the sessions are on the second floor. So thanks again, everybody in person. Thanks again, everybody online, streaming out there. Really excited for the day and looking forward to having a great event today. Thanks and take care.